Hey, social media family, God bless you today. Wherever you're tuning in, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff. Thanks for tuning in. I wanted to share something with you on this Friday. I have a shovel in my hand, and it was actually a shovel given to me by a dear friend. His name is Elliot Morgan. He's actually got some sermons on this YouTube channel. And he, 2 years ago, actually almost 3 years ago now, yeah, it was 3 years ago, we were having a tent revival this month of March. And we were on the other side of Hot Springs, and the Lord spoke to him to go to Home Depot and buy this shovel to me as a prophetic symbol for me to keep digging the wells. And the Lord had spoke to me when we started this ministry back in the tent in 2018, that part of what we were doing was redigging the well, a revival that was started here in back in the early 1900s by the Assemblies of God. And so you know, I been having this shovel out in a couple of our services the last couple of Sundays. And, you know, yesterday I gave a word about wage war with the prophetic words. And I was out here praying and looking in the sanctuary earlier today here at the Revival Hub. And I saw that shovel sitting up against the wall on the back side of the stage. And I was just reminded about how hard it's been to dig. And even that we continue to dig and press into what the Lord has for us to do here in Hot Springs. And I just thought about digging in general and how many people, you know, they dig so far down deep till they get tired, or it's too hard to dig and they don't strike, you know, water, or let's say they're trying to go for oil or whatever it is, and they never find what they're looking for because they give up too soon. And I've even seen some memes on Facebook about where, you know, there's this guy that's digging and he you know, gets a few small little like gold nuggets, and there's a guy below that's digging and he never comes up with any gold nuggets, and he stops, but around the other side there's like this layer of dirt like this wide, and on the other side is this big huge like diamond. And you know, so many of us that may be watching this today, you've been digging a long time and you just feel like you want to throw in the towel, you're ready to quit, you're ready to put down your shovel. And can I tell you, since this started really in 2018 in our tent, the Hot Springs Revival Hub and House of Prayer, I'm just telling you right now that there's been so many times I've wanted to lay down the shovel. You know, whether it was just because, man, we put that tent up and maybe that week nobody showed up, which actually we didn't ever have where nobody actually ever showed up. We always had someone show up. But when there's a small crowd and you've driven all the tent, you know, pegs in the ground, and you've run all the sound equipment, you begin to doubt, is it worth it? Is it worth it to keep digging? Or somebody says something about you, you know, things like, you know, hey, you know, trying to steal people from other churches, you know, that has caused me for even a short season to kind of lay down the shovel and not really pursue to keep digging like I should. Or maybe it was, you know, I'm a cult, or whatever the case may be, because those things have been said. And you know, the enemy will come against you in the thing that God's called you to do with in opposing the area that you're weakest. You know, one of the things that hindered me for years was worrying about what other people thought about me. And so when these different things were being said and by certain individuals or groups or ministries or whatever, I began to think, man, this is what like everybody's thinking about me. They think I'm the most horrible person, when actually I find that most of the people I encounter, you know, are celebrating or for me and what I'm doing for the Lord here. And they're not against me. But you know, the enemy, whether it's maybe what other people think about you, maybe it's a fear you have, maybe it's a temptation you have, the enemy will target you in your weakest area, because, man, when you get weak, when you get tired, man, it's hard to keep digging. But can I encourage you, whatever God's put in your heart, that ministry He's put in your heart that hasn't quite come to fruition, keep digging, keep planting seed. Maybe it's your family. You're battling for your family today. You're battling for your spouse. Can I tell you today, I just got word of a friend of mine that he's really burdened for another friend that's going through a divorce right now. Listen, friend, if you're facing divorce, if your spouse is thinking about leaving, or maybe you're thinking about leaving your spouse because you just don't know how much more you can take, don't lay down the shovel. Keep digging, because there's something about obedience in the long direction. That's something my good friend Matt Mueller says and has preached here often at the Revival Hub. It's that obedience in the same direction, or as Apostle Damon Thompson, he says it this way. He says, taking the long path, obedience on the long path. And if you're going to obey for the long haul, you can never put down the shovel. Day in, day out, keep digging. And so that's the word for the day, is to keep digging. May it encourage you, because listen, somebody is depending on you to keep the shovel in your hand and to keep digging every day. Somebody's depending on you to do what God has called you to do. So friend, don't put down the shovel, just keep digging.